Good evening, one and all. Thank you for joining us on this match build-up show. It's Wednesday nights. This is our Norwich build-up show. Do let us know if you're there in the comments. Do let us know if there's any issues on my sound. I'm too quiet. My guest is too loud, or he's too quiet, and I'm too loud. Have I said that twice already? But I don't care. Anyway, my guest tonight from the Matchdayvlogs YouTube channel, giving us an alternative sort of view on match days. Mike, really good to see you again. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having me on, Freddie. This is my first live webcast thing, so this is first time for me.
Yeah, webcast, live show, podcast. Tell me what it is in the comments. Let me know if you're there. Let's say hello to Mark. Good evening. And before, I think an hour and a half before we even were going live, Wetty is already in the comments, red and white. Good evening, mate, if you are there and you're watching along on YouTube. All right, before we get to Norwich then, I think it's best to kind of cover more Magpie misery at the weekend. Southampton 0, Newcastle 1. And they're another club that's done the double over us this season, Mike.
Yeah, you put it bang on there in terms of another club that's done the double over us. West Ham being another one that's below us that's done the double over us. It was really disappointing because I think when it was 11 versus 11, it was quite a good contest. There were a couple of really good chances from both sides. It was end-to-end stuff. And then the Gineppo thing happened and it kind of killed the game off, really. So, yeah, but overall just really disappointed that we couldn't get at least something from that game.
Yeah, so let's get back to our comments just briefly. Hello, good evening to Dean and Leo and Raul. Yes, comments are back. YouTube haven't restricted us this week, so get involved in the conversation. Send in any questions you want to ask Mike. How does he shoot his videos? Maybe we'll get to that later on. Right, let's get back to Newcastle then. Before sort of Gineppo got his marching orders, McCarthy with a fantastic triple save. I think it looks sort of a double save in real time, but watching back on the replay, he got a sort of a fingertip on that third attempt by Almiron. But McCarthy kept us in the game and atoned for his errors the week before.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that the performance for the entire game for McCarthy was why he was man of the match, and good reason for it. The week prior at West Ham, that was a really weird mistake that he made to let in that goal. But yeah, massively impressed. And I don't think there's any kind of a question who our number one goalkeeper is at the moment. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there was some kind of calls and that for Angus Gunn to return to the starting lineup last week. I guess, since heading back to Norwich's old haunting ground at the weekend, maybe there is a case, but I don't know anymore. Alex McCarthy sort of made up for his errors last week. Fantastic saves. And it hadn't not been for him, we could have been sort of 2 or 3 down at half time.
Yeah, absolutely. And we look at goalkeeper mistakes, and I think Alex McCarthy gets a rough time because there isn't a single goalkeeper in the Premier League at the moment that is having an amazing season. So I think we all need to just be a little bit patient, and mistakes are going to happen. So it's especially for a team like us where our defence isn't perhaps an amazing prospect, but so yeah. Alex McCarthy, definitely our number one at the moment.
Well, Ronnie, hello, good evening to you as well. Shane, yes, fans, in fact, were immense at the weekend, non-stop. And Ralph credited the home support. He sort of made a call to arms, the week before to say we need to improve our home support. Our atmosphere needs to, give the extra zip to the lads in the field, make it the 12th man. And, we showed all of those sort of signs, as, all the noise coming from the itching north. And it kind of... It was contagious to stick with the times, I guess. It kind of travelled around the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. That was amazing. That chant. I think one of the comments on my channel there, someone let me know that the chant actually lasted for 12 minutes and 34 seconds of Pompey get battered. So that was quite magical to hear that going around, and also to have my 9-year-old daughter sat next to me singing the lyrics perfectly. We had to replace one of the lyrics at the end to Plonker, but apart from that, it was all good fun.
That's great. We're inspiring the younger generation already. Love it.
Indeed, yeah.
Things you love to see, Back to the matters on the pitch, though. Moussa Gineppo, really tough time for him personally over the last sort of 2 weeks or so. And the club have really got stick their arm around him. He's now facing the prospect of up to sort of 6 weeks away from from a football match in the Premier League. Obviously, with the 2 games ahead of us, sort of either side of the international break, he'll miss, and he'll be returning sort of around the Man City game in mid-April. With the red card. Let's get to that. And then in the stand, some of those around me were saying, "Oh, the decision is disgraceful," but I kind of kept myself quiet. I saw it on the replay and I thought, sorry, it's a red card.
Yeah, I had a lot of comments on my video. I mean, the whole point of the Matchdayvlogs YouTube channel is it kind of shows off the in the moment feeling. So whatever noise I make in the stand is what's going on the tape, because it's about capturing that moment. And when I saw it, it didn't look great. And then when I saw it on the big screen, it kind of looked a bit ugly, but I can't help but think we've seen Moussa Djenepo do that a few times at St Mary's already. There was I'm just thinking back to the home fixture against Liverpool way back in August, where we started off, and he went in on Mane exactly the same. And then we had a decision recently in the Chelsea-Tottenham game where there was an equally bad collision or tackle, whatever you want to call it, that wasn't given. And I think that's what's frustrating the fans, is that inconsistency of the decision. And I watched the after game interviews you did and with Sweary Mike. I think that's the term. Yeah. And I was going to come over, but we're having my 9-year-old daughter with me. I thought, Sweary Mike after a game like this, probably not family friendly. So I left it that day. But yeah, I thought you put it brilliantly, because it's all about that inconsistency and the fact that these decisions that we're going back to that don't need to be addressed, and decisions that are happening elsewhere that are being missed on the pitch and no one's calling from them. Had the penalty, sorry to jump ahead here, Freddie, but had that penalty decision happened anywhere else on the pitch, it would have just been let go. So I think that's the inconsistency is really what's frustrating the fan base at the moment of all clubs.
I mean, Sonny jumps in and says that it's definitely a red card. Just a late one. No malice intended. He had nowhere to hide. Djenepo. He got his marching orders. Sort of pulled his t-shirt over his face. A really tough time for him. So as I say, the club need to get their arm around him, and his teammates, credit to them as well. Say, hey, look, keep your chin up. I think Buffal even sort of moved his chin up to try and keep his his head in check, sort of thing. But I mean, as you say about VAR, Buffal with the penalty judged against him. I mean, I asked the fans after the game: was it a handball? Firstly, I mean, this opens up a whole can of worms. I mean, where do you draw the line? Is it all of the arm, kind of from the shoulder down? Is it from the elbow down, or is it kind of like on the t-shirt line, or the kind of, I guess, the defendant was he pushed?
Yeah, I thought it was pulled back, which then, obviously he was trying to struggle away. I mean, when I saw it on the big screen, I thought it was incredibly harsh. When I saw it on the replay after the game, I thought, well, maybe it is a handball. But again, you just go back to the decision and think, like, had that happened anywhere else on the pitch, it's not going to be given. And had they, I just don't understand why they needed to go back to it, because okay, it maybe was a handball, but it wasn't stopping a goal scoring opportunity, and nor was it clear and obvious that the referee should be overturned for it. That's what's frustrating, really.
I think for me, it's a fine line. I mean, I think the Premier League are kind of saying anything below your shoulder is your arm. I mean, in real time, you're watching it in slow motion. It does look like that sort of Buffal's made the movement to the arm. I wasn't buying it in real time. And for me, as kind of Rao adds to here, I mean, where does the arm end? They ask as well. Street football, we say the arm ends at the captain's armband. So as I say, around the t-shirt line,
Yeah, I mean, there was a decision on Monday night with the Villa Leicester game, with the Tyrone Mings had the ball bounce off his shoulder, and I thought that one was incredibly harsh as well. And the decision that went in the Burnley Bournemouth game, where literally the ball comes in from a corner and bounces off the shoulder of a player. It's like, how is this being given? This is so.
So Sonny adds, he has to say it's a handball. Years gone by, we'll probably get away with it, but I think that going back to kind of what I said about Gineppo, there was nowhere to hide. Now with VAR, every decision is scrutinised to its finest margins. They're on about sort of changing the offside rule with kind of a yard or so behind the last defender. But I mean, handballs, incorrect kind of identity, late clumsy challenges are always going to be picked up on VAR. And I got to say, the referee was poor at the weekend. He missed all three of the talking points, if you like, and it just highlights the referees' incompetencies where they're having to rely on their colleagues in their ear.
Yeah, he was. I mean, I put a cheeky post up to say that the mascots on the match day were wearing yellow because he didn't make any of the decisions because they were all being made for him. But going back to your comments about the offside thing, I mean, I think that is the biggest madness is when we've got football pundits saying, "Oh, we should add a daylight, but it's offside." And I think goal line technology and offsides have been the only real success of in technology in football because you can't argue against them.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. I mean, it's kind of those that have VAR don't want it, but those that don't have VAR, they want it. It's a piece of the cake that everybody wants, and when it's too sweet, it's too sickly, if you know what I mean. Here's a great comment actually from Abdob. Should referees give a post-match interview? And I'd love to hear their insight. Now, in fact, I think I heard on another podcast the other day, I think it might have been the Total Saints podcast, where rugby fans can have a ref commentary. So that would be very interesting to find out what they are communicating with each other in the football ground.
I heard that as well, that they were going to introduce actual audio from the referee and the VAR so that the fans in the stadium can hear exactly what's been discussed and what's going on. I think that's a great idea. It would certainly help with the frustration to have things explained. But yeah, it frustrates me when we talk about offsides and stuff that isn't subjective. Like all these football pundits talking about this stuff just really winds me up. It's the handball off the shoulder that we have a problem with, and the inconsistency of, is it a red card? Is it studs in? Is it,
Yeah, and talking about studs then, Manquillo, which wasn't highlighted on the TV coverage, nor was it reviewed. There was a 50-50 challenge just before the break. It was Manquillo on sort of Bertrand. The ball, Bertrand got to the ball first. It's knocked away, and Manquillo's followed through with some studs in his chest. I was hugely frustrated by this.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw it went in, I mean, it was at that stage of the game where, the ref wasn't giving anything for us. So I was with the crowd and saying, we'll just try and get everything going for us. And, you should be off. And so the chance of off came on. It didn't look good from where I was. I mean, from where we sit in the itch, I'm not quite in the itching north. I'm sort of itching in the middle there. But yeah, it didn't look great. And but from the replay show, it's like you say, why wasn't that one reviewed? Right. There was no intent from that player, just like there was no intent from Moussa Gineppo, but
clumsy.
It's not that intent.
But both of them were clumsy, both of them were reckless, I'd say. So I think, because Gineppo's been sent off for that clumsy late challenge, I think Manquillo should have also been given the marching orders. As I say, inconsistencies as well, but inconsistencies in Newcastle's set pieces as well. I mean, first penalty to be saved by Saints goalkeeper since Kelvin Davis in 2012. Can you remember the opponents?
Oh, I watched the video earlier as well. No, go on then.
It's Manchester United. I think he saved the Van Persie penalty.
That was it.
I think I remember actually sitting in the chapel end that day, and I saw it right. I was literally right behind the goal, and it was saved at our end. Brilliant by Kelvin. Unfortunately, we lost that day.
Chipped it, didn't he? Yeah. Did he slightly chip it? It was sort of a slow one, and he got the hand and wafted it away.
Great save by Davis, but equally great save by McCarthy to get down hard and low and to deny a skate at the end of the day.
Yeah, that was a double bonus, that one, and it was a great penalty. It was right in the bottom corner. So there's saving penalties and there's saving penalties, and that really was a penalty save. So yeah, massively impressed with Alex McCarthy for the whole game, and certainly I think that's what really riled the crowd up to get behind the players and say, you know what, let's go for this. You know, maybe this is our day. Maybe we are going to get something from this game.
Yeah, I mean, the fans were giving us that sort of siege mentality, you know, to go in 0-0 at the break, you know, sort of counting our lucky stars, if you like, to be at that scoreline. But you know, we come out in the second half. I think for the most part, we sort of had something about us. We thought we could sort of steal something, but ultimately, it is again, it's an individual mistake that's cost us the defeat. And I've got to say here, yeah, Jan Vary back in the side for the sort of first time in 5 or 6 months. He was just far too casual, and Saint-Maximin's right on his heels, and he kind of pokes it away.
Yeah, it was disappointing. I mean, you know, I caught it in my video, and I just literally shouted "man on." You know, of course he was going to hear me, but you could just see it happening, and you know, he was kind of bullying down that left side all game. And you know, we had I think we had Buffal and Valerie tracking Saint-Maxim, and you know, he was going all over the place. And had Dwight Gale had a better game, I think we probably would have conceded a couple more. But yeah, you could see it happening in slow-mo. But yeah, really disappointing to make that key mistake and have us concede, because you know, had that not happened, it would have been 0-0. You know, so
yeah. And I think, you know, to take a point in the circumstances, going down 10 men for, you know, what is the best part of sort of 60 minutes. But, you know, Dwight Gale had his opportunities, and Dan adds that he likes McCarthy, but he needs to be consistent. He can have one good game, then a terrible game. Again, I think, you know, I want to add to that. In fact, you know, Alex McCarthy can be a good keeper. You know, he has his critics sometimes, but, you know, perhaps last season he was kind of reluctant to organise his box, to communicate with his defenders. And you know, this also comes down to the fact we don't have a natural born leader in the back. So Alex McCarthy's trying his best to organise and get back to his best.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in terms of leaders on the pitch, I mean, you know, you look at who's out there, and really, you know, Danny Ings carries a lot of that squad in terms of the passion and commitment. You know, but yeah, we need those characters in the squad to really pull us through in those kind of times of adversity. You know, Højbjerg's done his part, but he's not been quite as magnanimous as he has been in previous seasons in terms of, you know, taking responsibility for the performance of the whole team, and you know, speaking to the cameras overly much. But yeah, we definitely need the characters in there. But I think it's important that we keep this, you know, a similar squad. You know, we can't keep chopping and changing. I mean, I remember when we spoke earlier in the season, it was all about, we had no idea who was going to be on that starting sheet. You know, it could have been Angus Kern, could have been McCarthy, could have been anyone out in that back four. So it's nice to be in a time in the season where we've got more of a consistent lineup, but unfortunately we've slipped back into inconsistent performances, and what we now like 1 win in 7. So it's a bit tricky to see where we are now.
Yeah, 1 win in 7 brings us nicely onto our opponents at the weekend. You know, perhaps we saw this set of fixtures kind of 6 games ago and thought, these are quite favourable. You know, we can be safe by the end of March, but it just feels like that we're limping across the line again.
Yeah, I mean, when you looked at the fixtures of what was coming up, we kind of looked at that Aston Villa game, we looked at the West Ham game, looked at Newcastle, and we thought, do you know what?
9 points.
We can probably do these. 9 points, exactly. You know, this is going to be us sort of thinking about where we're going, you know, to chase those European spots. But you're absolutely right. We're kind of just sort of, you know, dragging our heels and just really not capitalising on the opportunities, because, you know, I had plenty of Geordie fans give me gripe on my channel for calling Newcastle bang average, but I'm sorry, they were. There was nothing particularly special about that squad, and they were making plenty of mistakes. You know, we were dominating. They were dominating, but they were supposedly dominating against 10 men. So for the majority of the game, but yeah, it's disappointing not to pick up at least a point against West Ham or Newcastle, because they're clubs that were and are behind us. So yeah.
Well, one thing's for sure, then Norwich are well behind us, so we've got quite a cushion from the bottom of the league. And it has to be said, we're better on the road as well, so perhaps there will be a little bit of a relief sort of taken from the lads' shoulders. And I think I saw a comment earlier on that we were the worst home side. Where is it? Sonny, we have the third worst home record in the Football League. Yeah, in the Football League, indeed.
Wow.
I think it's only Southend and Stevenage that are worse than us in this entire pyramid. But equally, Norwich are only 1 point better off than us in the home form.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a really interesting game at the weekend because, it's really do or die for Norwich. I mean, they either start picking up points now or they start preparing for life in the Championship. And I think we're kind of at that crucial point in their season where, what are they, like 6 or 8 points off safety? So you would think with the fixtures they've got remaining, they'd be looking at this one thinking, yeah, it's something they can do, because they beat Leicester a couple of weeks back, didn't they, on their Friday Night Football or something like that?
1-0.
But a 1-0 win. So it will depend on us, really. I mean, it sounds cliche, but if we can, bring a performance that's attacking and we take opportunity in the set pieces, then yeah, absolutely, we can get something from the game. But it is dangerous because of that position they're in.
I mean, Norwich, they've also beat Man City at the start of the season at Carrow Road as well. I think, as you say, this is do or die or fight or flight, I think, for the Canaries at the weekend. It's the last chance. So then if they lose this game, I think that's at least 1-0 in their coffin.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if they don't get any points, against us and, the other clubs, West Ham, Bournemouth or Watford pick up something against their fixtures. I mean, they've all got tough fixtures as well. But yeah, they've got to be thinking in that regard.
I mean, a lot like Saints. In fact, Norwich, he went for a bit of a purple patch at the start of the season. People swiftly transferring him into the fantasy football team. Timu Pukki, lots of goals at the start of the season, but equally kind of gone off the boil, a bit like Danny Ings at the moment. Sort of Norwich and Saints both relying on their superstar striker.
Yeah. Pukki had a pretty quiet game in the return fixture at St Mary's, and then he pulled out that goal to give them that sort of 2-1, and really that came from nothing, because it's all of a sudden there was a looping ball over and the ball's in the back of the net. So it's always dangerous when you've got a player like that. But then again, we've got a player like that with Danny Ings, where he's pulled some goals out of where it's out of nothing, really. So.
Right, let's get back to our comments then. Harry adds, if we create a great atmosphere, we can push the team on better like we did against Newcastle. Marlon adds, I think we can get something. We're better away versus the teams that come and attack. And Dan adds, Norwich play quality football at times. Has to give it them a bit of credit there. And I think it's two teams that are trying to employ this high press, this play out for the back system. So it could be quite an open game. And I think that favours Saints.
Definitely. Oh yeah, I was just exactly about to say that the fact that they're there to play football is actually a good thing for us, because it's those clubs that kind of play a bit more old school. The Steve Bruce, the David Moyes kind of football that that we struggle to break down. We struggled to build chances against Burnley, but if a team is there to play football and is attacking and pressing like us, then yeah, we've got every opportunity. And if Stuart Armstrong comes back fit, that's a great plus for us. I mean, when we've got a squad with Stuart Armstrong and Nathan Redmond, I think we look very, very attacking. They look very promising side.
Yeah, away from home, we've got a bit of freedom going forward, and Redmond, Armstrong scored some important goals this season. Redmond's a player that Norwich know quite a lot about. Obviously, grew up in that. Well, in fact, sort of his formative footballing career up in Norfolk. But Norwich have got the joint worst goal scoring record and the joint second worst goals conceded record. So this all points to a 0-0 again, doesn't it?
Yeah. Now that you've said that, it's yeah. It might well do, but yeah, I mean, I think in terms of our strike force, we're all at fully fitness, aren't we? There's no injuries incurred in the previous game. I think Shane Long's all there, Danny Ings is there, so yeah, I think we're all set for hopefully a good game. But
Well,
you know what
I'm
happens when
glad
we
a
say
couple of
that.
people disagree with that in the comments. Dan sees lots of goals in the game. Abdub goes 3-2. Danny Ings hat trick. I hope so. I'm going to put him as my captain, my fantasy team. That'll shoot me up the table, and I'll catch the others. But Mark adds having Armstrong back will be a major plus. Now,
Yeah.
you know, he's been missing kind of last week with that concussion. I don't know why he wasn't hooked off earlier on in the West Ham game where he was clearly concussed. He was in a daze, didn't manage to pick up Ward-Prowse ball, and they waited a week for him to kind of diagnose that. And Armstrong's an industrious player, sort of gets his head down, a bit like sort of your modern day Stephen Davis as well. Goes unnoticed. We still haven't got that song ready for him. Hopefully, we got something from it at the weekend. And having Armstrong back, perhaps Buffal on the other side, is the only options that we have in those wide positions.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I think Armstrong really adds an attacking flair to us. I mean, Buffal is a very quick, very talented player, but unfortunately, he doesn't always come to much, you know. And you know, there was the fixture I think against Burnley where he was, you know, doing lots of things, but nothing really was coming of it, and it was, yeah, pretty frustrating game that day. But Armstrong is a, you know, he surges forwards and creates chances, got good vision. And I think he works really well with the team as well.
It is worrying that the injuries are starting to stack up now into this important stage of the season they're running. You know, thankfully we've still got a bit of the cushion, but we still can't be complacent. I think we got away with it over the winter period. You know, no kind of injuries with 2 games a week, but now suddenly the turn of the year or the turn of the spring, we've picked up a lot of these injuries.
Yeah, I mean, when the news came about the Redmond injury, I think that was a big blow for us. But you're absolutely right. We are very lucky to not pick up any kind of injuries over the festive period. But yeah, we picked up loads of points, which is now having us sit not quite pretty, but you know, in terms of giving us that extra buffer, where it's enabled us to drop points recently and still be, you know, what is it, 6-7 points off the relegation spot. So yeah, it's a promising thing, really.
I think, you know, if we pick up 3 points at Carrow Road at the weekend, it gives all a bit of a lift. You know, we've been a bit sort of down and out a little bit over the last couple of weeks because we haven't been picking up points. So, you know, to dwell on that for sort of 2 weeks with the 3 points under our belts, obviously the Arsenal game's postponed because of their FA Cup progression. Then it's followed by the international. So it's sort of become kind of a spring break. We had the winter break, so Ralph's got a bit of work to do if we manage to sort of lose this game at the weekend.
Yeah, and it will set a kind of a mood amongst the club and I think the fans, depending on how this result goes. You know, if we get a win and we maintain that buffer, it will be a lot more of a comfortable, positive feeling. But if we don't and someone else picks up something beneath us, then we will start to get a bit fidgety again.
Yeah, I think we're all starting to get a bit itchy feet at the moment, you know. And Abdub adds, where do you think we will finish this season? Now, we were asked kind of this earlier on the season. We're taking anywhere between 9th and 14th, and I think we're currently sitting in 14th, so just at the kind of the minimum expectation. But I would just like us to play a bit of football, you know, give us all a bit of confidence, pick up another few points. I just hope that we finish the season strongly. You know, last season kind of took that draw against Bournemouth and then took our foot off the gas. I just want us to surge into the end of the season.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think if we can, you know, play out the rest of the season and you know get the points we need to and play good football, then that'd be great. I mean, there was talk of us pushing for those European slots, but I'm sorry, I just think there's too many clubs that are really picking up points when we should be, and it's getting very crowded in that position. And you know, there isn't a lot of consistency in some of the clubs above us, but you know, they get a couple of back-to-back wins and we're having a different conversation. But for me, I can't see it. I'd love us to break into the top 10, but I just don't see it. I mean, I could see us ending sort of maybe 12th, that kind of position. But who knows? Who knows? We'll see.
Before we get to our score predictions, do comment your score predictions. I saw a few already in there earlier on. 2-2 from Danny, 3-2 earlier on as well from Abdub. One question about our lineup this weekend, Mike. Who should we play at right back? You know, we had two right backs sat on the bench at the London Stadium. We have had kind of Ward-Prowse filling that position despite Valerie and Walker-Peters being fit. Do we drop Valerie? Is that going to knock his confidence? But we brought Walker-Peters in for a reason, and he's not even getting a game.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's the key thing, really. I mean, we brought Carl Walker-Peters in for a loan period that's going to be running out in a few games, so it would seem strange for us not to play Carl Walker-Peters in this game. I don't think, you could look at it two ways, really. I mean, it was Valerie's first game back in a long time, and I don't want that to have any kind of psychological effect on him. But you've got to think, it depends on the players, really. And I think if Ralph sees the merit in either position, then he should go with whichever one he thinks is the strongest option. But I do think Carl Walker-Peters is quite a talented footballer, but he's not the largest of frame, really. So it depends on that kind of position, who he sees in the opposing position. Can he sort of maintain a defensive and also an attacking prowess to his game? So yeah, I mean, we got to trust Ralph on that one and see where we go.
Lots of comments giving Valerie a bit of stick, actually, to be fair. Although
It's that
Mark
one
says,
game.
Yeah, I mean, Mark says I'll stick with Valerie. JMS goes he makes some mistakes all the times. Harry adds KWP is better. So so it's striking a bit of conversation, a bit of a debate between the two right backs at the moment. Raoul adds, so we don't really use our loanees. I'd play Valerie, and with Norwich, we need to keep JWP in midfield. Now, going back to kind of your comments on Walker-Peters, I think he's actually smaller than Cedric.
Which it's hard to believe that's even possible. It's it's quite a small frame, but he's a very that game he played against Burnley, and he started off really kind of shy and sort of made a couple of little errors which led to their early goal. But then after that, there was a couple of moments of skill where he was suddenly putting us into a position where we were pushing forward. So I don't know. We've seen one game with Carl Walker-Peters, so it's really difficult to make any kind of judgment on it. But you've got to think there was a reason to get him in on loan. I mean, whether it's just desperation after selling Cedric, we needed to have someone for cover. Could just be that. But yeah, you got to wonder why.
So as I say, Saints are a bit better on the road, a bit more confidence. So hopefully we can cook up a storm. So let's be Avenya. What's your score prediction? Let's go with JMS's first. 1-0. Marlon, is that 1-0 to Norwich, to the home side? Add another comment down there, mate. Marlon goes 1-2. Pookie and Ings twice for Danny Ings. Sudden Pode 1-0, I think. Harry adds 2-0. What's your score prediction then, Mike?
It depends on what kind of game Pookie has, but I can see us doing this one 2-0. I think they're not scoring loads of goals at Norwich. Yes, they're at home, but really the goal that they scored at home recently was a wonder goal, so maybe they have one of those. But I can see us doing this 2-0.
I like the sound of that. 2-0 gives a bit of confidence. Mark adds 1-2. I think that's one. You've gone for an exclamation mark, but we all make mistakes. It's okay. Well, the typos are allowed on this channel.
Mr. Shifky.
Yeah. Harry goes Shea and Ings to score. Shea is used to the championship sides. Now, he's having a bit of a hard time, Shea. Some rumours suggest that he's not quite happy in the camp, not joining in celebrations, but he's not been given a fair crack at the whip, to be fair. And perhaps we could see something different. In fact, with kind of Boufal better as an impact player, we might even see kind of Obafemi or Adams employed out wide.
Yeah, I think it's been a really tough season for Shea Adams because he's gone so close on so many occasions. I mean, earlier in the season when he hit the post against Sheffield United, and there was a few other opportunities as well. Let's not forget he assisted that goal against Aston Villa. That was a great pass to Stuart Armstrong to get that 2-0 win. But yeah, you got to feel for Shea Adams because he's kind of been thrown on the pitch at 75 minutes. And it's do or die for him because he's just like, if he scores a goal, he's a hero. and if he doesn't do anything, then it's another game without a goal. But he was given a lot of game time at the start of the season, so it's really difficult to argue against the kind of treatment he's had by Ralph in terms of game time, because he's had the opportunity there. But yeah, maybe, the comment earlier about him playing against a championship side, maybe it does suit him, but he just needs to get that goal really, and then hopefully the confidence will be there. But I do worry that it might be something that might lead to him going elsewhere in the summer.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, it's a short-lived Saints stint, if you like. I think, as I say, some of the comments say that he needs a bit of time. Scored his first goal for Premier League 2, the Saints under 23s the other day. Let's just finish off with Dean's comment. It's 2-1 Saints. I'll take that. Adam's late winner, my lad's first away game too, and I hope he enjoys his afternoon. Dean, thanks for joining us along with everybody else. And Mike, just tell everybody where we can catch up with you.
Yeah, you can catch up on us. Best channel will be the YouTube channel. The best way to explain it is probably it's like Gogglebox for a Saints fan, because it basically picks up all the emotion that we go through at St Mary's and occasional away games. So, but also available on the Instagram, TikTok as well, and Twitter occasionally.
I'm surprised you know what TikTok is, because you're kind of a little bit older than me, but I have no clue.
I'll be honest with you, it was a little bit of a mistake. Well, not a mistake. Mistake's the wrong word. I went on there and one of our videos went viral and it had 1.3 million views. And all of a sudden the channel's blown up and we're approaching 10,000 followers on TikTok. So I'm kind of trapped. I'm trapped into this kind of this social media thing. And of course it's helping with traffic go elsewhere to the Instagram and YouTube accounts. But yeah, victim of my own success on that channel. So, but yeah, but all it is that 1.3 million video is Jack dropping his hat into the disabled section. I don't get it. The hours I spend on video editing, and that gets 1.3 million views. It slightly hurts.
Well, I can reveal to you that we will not be publishing a TikTok channel, so I think we'll stick where we are right now. But Mike, really good to speak to you, mate, and thank you all for joining us in the comments. And we'll speak to you later on this weekend.
Cool. Thanks, everyone.